What if some of rock's most groundbreaking rhythms, the beats that powered entire generations, were created by drummers history almost forgot? Behind the spotlight, these women weren't just keeping time, they were rewriting the rules of rock. Yet their names rarely make the lists. Tonight, we unmask the forgotten queens of rhythm. Karen Carpenter, the voice that hid the drummer. Most people know Karen Carpenter for her angelic voice, a sound that softened the hardest hearts of the 1970s. But behind that microphone was a drummer so good that Buddy Rich, one of the greatest jazz drummers ever, praised her skills. Karen's touch was both delicate and fierce. Watch early footage of the Carpenters and you'll see her anchoring the band from behind the kit, singing lead while playing drums with remarkable ease. But the industry didn't want Karen the drummer, they wanted Karen the voice. Label executives pressured her to stand out front, believing that a female drummer was a novelty that would confuse audiences. She resented it, later admitting she felt stripped of the thing she loved most. A career defined by ballads could have been equally remembered for groundbreaking drumming. It remains one of rock's most frustrating what-ifs. Sandy West, teenager who started a revolution. At just 16 years old, Sandy West co-founded the Runaways with Joan Jett. Her drumming wasn't polished, it was primal, heavy, and fearless. It gave the Runaways their raw, rebellious heartbeat. On tracks like Cherry Bomb, Sandy's thunderous playing was the spark that lit the powder keg of teenage revolution. But Sandy's story didn't end with glory. After the band's messy breakup, she struggled to keep her career afloat. She faced financial hardships and addiction. Lawsuits over royalties haunted her, and at times she accused her bandmates of abandoning her. Even her family life unraveled. Yet ask Joan Jett or Lita Ford, and they'll tell you Sandy West was the true engine of the Runaways. Without her, there may have been no band at all. Maureen Moe Tucker, the anti-drummer who changed rock. Most drummers show off with fills, rolls, and flashy solos. Not Moe Tucker. With the Velvet Underground, she stripped drumming to its bare essentials, often standing up, using mallets instead of sticks, refusing to use cymbals, and driving songs with hypnotic tribal beats. Critics at the time didn't understand her. Some dismissed her as amateurish. But decades later, punk and indie bands would build their sound on her approach. Moe Tucker wasn't without controversy. In later years, her outspoken conservative politics shocked fans who once saw her as the underground's radical heartbeat. It was a reminder that even icons can defy expectations. Still, her minimalist style remains one of the most influential blueprints for alternative music. Gina Schock, the Go-Go's secret weapon. The Go-Go's were the first all-female band to write their own songs, play their own instruments, and hit #1 on the Billboard charts. Front and center was their bubbly image, but the secret weapon was Gina Schock behind the kit. Her drumming was crisp, precise, and driving, a perfect mix of punk energy and pop polish. But Gina's journey wasn't smooth. She underwent open-heart surgery in the early 80s, fighting through health scares to stay on stage. At the same time, record executives often dismissed her role, crediting the band's success to image over musicianship. It was Schock's rhythm, however, that gave their songs their irresistible bounce. Without her, the Go-Go's wouldn't have been half as sharp. Debbi Peterson, the Bangles' dual threat. When you think of the Bangles, you probably hear Walk Like an Egyptian or Manic Monday. But behind those hits was Debbi Peterson, pulling double duty as both drummer and vocalist. She provided harmonies while driving the songs with steady, infectious beats. Her presence was unique. Not only could she hold down the rhythm section, she could step into the spotlight and sing lead. But tensions within the band often pushed her into the background, overshadowed by Susanna Hoffs. Fans of the band still argue whether Peterson's role was unfairly minimized. Regardless, her contributions were the glue that kept the Bangles' sound intact. Janet Weiss, indie rock's powerhouse. Janet Weiss isn't a household name, but among drummers, she's a legend. With Sleater-Kinney, she developed a drumming style that was explosive yet precise, constantly shifting rhythms to match the band's fiery politics and raw emotion. Critics often called her one of the greatest drummers in indie rock history. Her exit from Sleater-Kinney in 2019 caused shockwaves. Weiss cited a loss of creative input, suggesting she was sidelined in the very band she helped define. Fans rallied behind her, arguing Sleater-Kinney was never the same without her. Her story highlights a recurring theme. Even the most skilled women behind the kit often find their voices muted. Schemel, the drummer who survived the storm. Grunge was defined by chaos, and Hole's Schemel lived right in the middle of it. On Live Through This, her drumming was both thunderous and melodic, giving Courtney Love's unhinged performances a backbone of steel. Her rhythms carried both the fury and the tragedy of the era. Behind the scenes, Schemel battled addiction, nearly losing everything. Nirvana briefly considered her as a drummer before Dave Grohl took the spot, a near miss that could have changed her career forever. Her struggles were later chronicled in the documentary Hit So Hard, exposing the brutal cost of fame and survival in the grunge world. Today, she stands as both a survivor and a reminder of how drummers often bore the weight of an entire movement. Meg White, the beat that split opinions. Few drummers have been as polarizing as Meg White. With the White Stripes, her minimal, pounding rhythms were often mocked as too simple. But here's the thing, that simplicity was the magic. Her drumming was primal, raw, and perfectly matched to Jack White's distorted guitar and wailing vocals. Rumors swirled about her personal life, her shyness, and her struggles with anxiety, which eventually led to the band's end. Critics dismissed her, others hailed her as genius, but one truth remains. Meg White created one of the most instantly recognizable drum sounds in rock history. Love her or hate her, you couldn't ignore her. Tobi Vail, Riot Grrrl's battle cry. Drumming for Bikini Kill, Tobi Vail didn't just keep time, she fueled a movement. Every beat carried feminist defiance, rebellion, and raw punk energy. Riot Grrrl wasn't just about lyrics, it was about rhythm, about pounding a message into the world until it couldn't be ignored. Behind the scenes, Vail briefly dated Kurt Cobain, and some fans claim she was the inspiration for Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit. Though Cobain never confirmed it outright, the rumor cemented her place in grunge mythology. Vail, however, wasn't interested in being a muse. She was a force in her own right. Sheila E, Prince's partner in rhythm. Though she's often associated with funk and pop, Sheila E brought a rock ferocity to every performance. On stage with Prince, she was more than a side player, she was his equal, matching his fire with blistering solos and explosive energy. Their relationship was both musical and personal, sparking rumors of romance and rivalry. Some claimed Prince tried to keep her in his shadow, while Sheila E later revealed she fought for recognition as her own artist. Her solo career proved she didn't need anyone to validate her talent. Sheila E remains one of the most respected percussionists of her generation. Samantha Maloney, carrying the torch. When Hole needed stability in the late 90s, Samantha Maloney stepped in and gave the band a new backbone. When Motley Crue needed a drummer, she filled the shoes. When Eagles of Death Metal needed fire, she delivered. Maloney became rock's ultimate hired gun. But stepping into these roles wasn't easy. With Motley Crue, fans were skeptical of a woman replacing Tommy Lee. Maloney proved them wrong night after night with sheer power and precision. Her versatility, moving seamlessly from grunge to glam to garage rock, made her one of the most in-demand drummers of her era. Jody Linscott, the rock world's secret percussionist. She may not be a household name, but Jody Linscott's resume is jaw-dropping. She's played with The Who, Elton John, David Gilmour, and countless others. A percussionist who blended rock with experimental textures, she quietly shaped the sound of legends. Early in her career, she was dismissed by male peers who couldn't imagine a woman keeping up with the heavyweights. Linscott proved them wrong, becoming one of the most trusted session players of her time. Her story is proof that some of the greatest musicianship in rock history happened in the shadows. Cindy Blackman, Santana. Jazz soul, rock power, trained in jazz. Cindy Blackman broke into rock by touring with Lenny Kravitz. Her explosive performance on Are You Gonna Go My Way remains one of the most iconic drum moments of the 1990s. Later, she joined Santana, both musically and personally, marrying Carlos Santana, and brought that same ferocity to the legendary band. But her path wasn't without obstacles. Early on, some record labels wanted to market her as a novelty, a glamorous female drummer, instead of recognizing her artistry. She resisted fiercely, demanding to be heard as a musician first. Her fusion of jazz technique and rock power silenced any doubters. Viola Smith, the female Gene Krupa. Before rock even existed, Viola Smith was smashing barriers. In the 1930s and 40s, she became famous for playing enormous drum kits, rivaling the male big band drummers of the era. She was so bold that she wrote an article during World War II, urging band leaders to hire women, arguing that female musicians were just as capable as men. Some critics mocked her oversized kits as gimmicks, but Smith proved she could outplay almost anyone. She lived to be over 100 years old, witnessing the evolution of music that she helped inspire. She remains one of the earliest pioneers for women in percussion, proof that the fight for recognition goes back almost a century. Teresa Taylor, the psychedelic outlaw. With Butthole Surfers, Teresa Taylor, known as Teresa Nervosa, shared drumming duties with King Coffee, creating a chaotic, surreal dual drum assault that turned concerts into rituals of noise and madness. Her playing was anarchic, unpredictable, and unforgettable. Taylor's career ended abruptly due to health issues, and she faded from the spotlight. Yet fans of the band still remember her as the wild heartbeat of a group that thrived on confrontation. Teresa Taylor showed that drumming could be as strange, confrontational, and mind-bending as rock itself. These drummers weren't just side players, they were innovators, rebels, and visionaries who pushed rock into new directions. Some were buried by history, others simply never got the credit they deserved. But their rhythms still echo in every garage band, every festival stage, every kid learning their first beat. Because the truth is, rock history isn't just written by guitar heroes. It's written by the drummers who dared to make noise when the world wasn't ready to hear them.